Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Camille Essick. We are back. We are here for season 10 of the Speaker podcast. I'm super excited. We have an official, amazing guest here tonight, and I'm so humble and honored to have him here. His name is King Randall. You may have seen him on, I think it was Roland Martin. He's also visited some other platforms, such as, I think it was Fox News. And I'm just going to let him introduce himself because he can do it better than I. First of all, I do want to shout out my sister and friend, Lisa Knox of Quick Copy Print there in Albany, Georgia. She's the one that made this interview possible. So, Lisa, I want to thank you so much for that. So, with that being said, King Randall, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. First of all, I'm definitely glad to be here. I've been following your work ever since I met you through Miss Lisa, so I'm definitely glad to be here and be a part of your broadcast.
Thank you. So with that being said, those that don't know, you are there, King Randall. You're there in Albany, Georgia, which is right there. A little bit, I want to say it's southwest of Atlanta. Is that correct?
Yeah, Southwest Georgia. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So for those that are not familiar with you, King, can you kind of give us a little bit of your background as far as where you're from and just a little taste of your journey?
Absolutely. Well, my name is King Randall I. I'm the founder of the X for Boys program and the Life Preparatory School for Boys in the city of Albany, Georgia. I'm 22 years old now. I started this program back when I was 19 years old, teaching young men how to work on cars and work on houses and, just how to change oil, change brakes, change a ceiling fan, change toilets, how to paint, welding, etc. I've done many things teaching the boys, just different skill trades and trying to keep them out of trouble. I started this program basically because I saw so many young men in our area, falling by the wayside, and so many people saying that, the boys needed things to do, etc., but nobody wanted to do anything about it. So these things just kind of made me upset and made me just start doing what I'm doing now. And we fast forwarded it from, working out of my house. I had a small dry erase board on my wall, and I put the kids in my dining room. I started with 20 boys, and we made it happen from there. So we started there, and now we have a full school facility. We have a resource center, and we have 40 acres of land that we purchased to be able to teach our children. So that's kind of like a really brief description of my story, because I would love to, be able to dig into it after Miss Camille asks more questions. That's kind of a basic idea of who I am in the X for Boys program.
Okay, and you can drop the miss and just call me Camille. It's cool.
It's not gonna work. It won't come out like that.
Okay, well, we'll take it then. That's cool, whatever. So as far as with your school, just with your journey, there's so many things I want to ask you. So the first thing I want to ask you, what has been your greatest hurdle so far in this process with your school for the young boys?
Well, I will say, when I was trying to purchase our first school, we were actually supposed to be open already. Back last year, we were supposed to be open, but we weren't able to open our school because I was actually in a deal with our local school system where we were trying to purchase an old abandoned school building from them. This building was in great condition, but it was up for demolition. So it was 25,000 square feet, had classrooms, cafeteria, etc. So we were going to try to work out of there. And they drug us through maybe a 8-9 month process of trying to buy that building. And it was a little upsetting. But we took our time with it. We tried to wait it out, and we finally got a contract back maybe May of last year, almost June. And they said that in the deed, we had a little contract in the deed of conveyance, it should contain a use restriction that we cannot utilize this school for a private or a charter school unless they teach the core curriculum. And we were like, well, why would we sign this contract if we're trying to open our own school? That makes no sense. So we got into this big shebang with them, and went on Fox News about it. And then my local hometown started smearing me and trying to call me a fraud. And people was making all these podcasts about me. It was a mess. Like it was really horrible. But I never responded to any of it. I never said anything back to any of the negative comments. None of the long posts people made about me. They put articles in the newspaper about me, etc., because I did not want to accept that deal with the local school system. But all in all, I never responded, and we came out on top anyways. We ended up getting 4 buildings, actually. We bought 3 buildings on the more south side of town. We bought 40 acres of land, and we were able to purchase a building 2 times the size of that school. So now we have a 41,000 square foot school facility that includes a basketball gym, cafeteria, 25 classrooms, etc. So I never said anything. I just kept working, and people kept donating to our cause and seeing us do work. And I was going around the country, doing workshops, teaching children how to work on cars and donating tools to kids in different impoverished communities across the country, such as New York and Brooklyn and Bronx and LA and Baltimore. I went to all these different places, Texas, teaching these children how to work on cars and things like that and donating these tools. So we ended up coming out on top anyway, because God has his own plans all the time. And I always say you can't stop what God has ordained. So that was like my biggest hurdle we had to get over. But right now we got another big hurdle, and that's renovating this school. We have to get it up to code and paint and put furniture in there and get students and get teachers and curriculum, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I'm working on right now. So that's probably like the biggest hurdle I'll say to start out with.
Okay. You said something that made me think, King Randall, why is it that with our community, we complain about so many things, but yet when someone attempts or they're doing something, then there's backlash, there's negativity, there's smear campaigns. Why not support? Because I don't see this coming from other demographics. And maybe it happens, but I haven't seen it. But it just seems to be prevalent at times with our community and those that are in the forefront, in the trenches, in the mud. It just seems like sometimes like it's a crap mentality. Can you kind of break that down and try to explain that a little bit more? Because it just seems frustrating. I did see pieces of your interview with Roland Martin, and I just didn't. I mean, I understood it, but I didn't, because it's like we have to do more than get out there and just vote. Voting is important, yes, but at the same time, we also need to be working in other capacities on the grassroots, or at what I call ground zero.
Absolutely. Oh boy. Well, first of all, that the interview with Mr. Rowland, I was a big fan of his before that interview, and we got into it on Twitter, about me saying that we should start trying to do for self in our communities, and of course he invited me on the show, and we got into a little spat there. But I've kind of always dealt with that ever since, I began my program. People always say we need to do this and that for our communities or whatever, but never lift a finger to do anything. And I used to complain about churches not doing anything, and I used to complain about this organization not doing anything, and these organizations and this nonprofit. But then I realized that a lot of these organizations, churches, etc., all benefit from us being oppressed. They continue to get grants, they continue to get more money, school systems, etc. They all are in cahoots. They get all this money because they get money to fix things that are broken, but they never fix them. So they keep getting more and more money. They keep getting funding to keep fixing things that they never fix. So every other year they'll get a new $1 million and another $1 million to fix this problem and to fix that problem and to fix this problem. And the more problems they have, the more money they can keep rolling in. So in all honesty, they're never trying to actually fix the problem, because they fix the problem, then the money doesn't come rolling in anymore. So this is why I try to get them to understand, like, no, your pastors, your favorite nonprofits, the people with their fist up in the air, etc. All these people are in cahoots, with the government, etc., to keep you oppressed, and they're going to tell you that somebody else is oppressing you when it's really them. They're the ones doing it. So that's what I try to get them to see. And ever since I started working on my own, of course, I have backlash from people that look just like me all the time, but I come to get used to that. Even Jesus went through it. So that's what I deal with. But I don't, I just keep rolling, and like I said, Jesus had to deal with some of these same things. People complaining about issues, and you try to come fix them, and they got a problem with you trying to fix it, or you don't fix it how they want you to. Like, they wanted me to take the deal with the school system and let the school system run my school and all that. I'm like, no, they're not even teaching what I want, what I want the children to know. So why would I do that? The statistics here are horrible. Only 19% of the kids graduating from high school are proficient in math. Only just under 30% of the kids leaving the schools in Doherty County school system are proficient in reading. So I'm just like, these kids can't even read and write, can't do math, etc. And you're telling me that I'm supposed to allow to use their curriculum? You've lost your mind. And they were saying things like, well, you went through that school system, you went through there, you turned out okay. I'm like, yeah, but look at all these other people who didn't turn out okay. I'm just like, so because you burned the pancake, I gotta burn mine too. Like, that don't make no sense. I just don't get the thought process sometimes. But this is why I teach babies. I teach the children because they're what's going to change the outlook of the city of Albany. They're what's going to fix our community. They're going to create new families, new structure, new government, new politicians, new doctors, new lawyers, new everything. These children are what's going to do it, but we have to catch them before they get lost in the system too.
That's really good, King. One of the things I also want to ask you, because you with your school, you work with primarily young boys. Is that correct? Is it boys and girls or just boys?
All boys. We had a life preparatory school for boys.
Okay, can you kind of break what you see down when you get these boys? First of all, what is the age group for the boys that you work with?
I work with boys ages 11 to 17, and most of the issues that I deal with amongst them, I'm going to get into a little touchy area here. So sometimes I get moms who will call and say, "Hey, Mr. King, my son, he's not a homosexual, but he's acting a little, feminine, and kids at school are calling him gay, et cetera, et cetera." Then I'll deal with the kid who's extremely trying to get into the streets and trying to live that lifestyle of drugs and the rapping and all that stuff like that. These are the main two kids that I'll deal with primarily in regards to boys. Sure, I have the regular kid here and there, but for the most part, I deal with those kids from the juvenile court system who are trying to get into that gang life and the drug life, etc. Then I deal with kids who are overly feminine. And so even the kids will come to me, like some of the boys, they'll say, "Hey, Mr. King, a lot of the kids at school are calling me gay. I'm not gay. I like girls, etc." or whatever like that. But they don't understand that they've been raised by their mom, their grandma, their auntie their whole life. So they mainly act feminine because they've never been around a man before, or to just be around a man and to see how to be a man. I always say, my granddad taught me, in order to be a man, you got to see a man. So once they start to come around, and I teach them how to tie a tie and wear a suit and stand up straight and speak with the bass in your voice and shake somebody's hand, and just all of those different things that I got taught by my dad, then they start to develop. But they can't develop because I have moms that'll admit, "Mr. King, I can't raise no man." They'll tell me that straight up. And I can appreciate that, because I can say I can't raise no girl. And that's another reason I don't work with young ladies, because I can't teach a girl how to be a woman. And I had a discussion in one of our community meetings with an older gentleman, because we had a little debate about, he told me, he said, a woman can raise a boy just as good as a man can. And I said, "Well, would I go around telling mamas that I can raise their daughter just as good as them? Absolutely not, because I cannot teach a girl how to be a girl. I'm not a woman. I need a woman to do that. I need a partner to help me if I was a single dad, to have a daughter. I need some woman in her life. I need some woman mentor. I need some woman to teach her, how to be that woman." And I appreciate so many moms that will come and say, "Look, Mr. King, I'm doing as best I can. He's a good kid, but I can't teach him how to be no man." And that's something, that I appreciate, that moms will admit, because as a man, we would never say that we can raise a daughter, as good as a woman can. That makes no sense to me. And then also with my boys I deal with who are heavy in that criminal life, etc. Most boys, if they don't see a man around and they really want to emulate a man, they'll emulate the man that's closest to them, whether that be he'll be a good man or a bad man. So whether that be the guy outside with the nice shoes and the cars and the chains and all that, they love that type of lifestyle. So then they'll start trying to emulate that guy. And so he'll ask that guy, "Well, how you get these things?" And he'll say, "Well, let me show you how to do it." And that's how they start going down that road, selling drugs and and running women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it all goes down that rabbit hole. But this is where men of our communities have to step up. I always say every man should be responsible for at least one child that's not his. And I firmly believe that, because if it's so many men that don't have children that could help, pick up the roles, for a lot of these boys out here who are needing a father figure. And this could help our communities exponentially. Like, it ain't even got to be nothing crazy like I did. I've had actually kids like come live at my house. I had 6 boys from juvenile court come live at my house at a time.
Whoa. So you're taking kids home from juvenile court?
Yeah, they get assigned to my program. I don't get paid for them or anything. They get assigned to me and they come and live at my house.
Okay, so what is that setup like?
Okay, so when I first started taking those children, my first summer camp that I did, my second summer camp, COVID happened. This was back in 2020. So parents kept asking me, was I going to be able to do anything for the summer? And I was like, well, I can't do anything because COVID's happened. I got my own kid, et cetera. I don't know what they doing. I don't know who they coming around, et cetera. It was like, can you please do something? So I was like, well, if I'm going to do anything for the summertime, these kids got to come live with me. So I had 6 parents at the time was like, look, he can come stay at your house for the whole summer. I just want him them to learn the things that you're teaching. So I went and bought some bunk beds and I put them in my living room and I made it happen. That's what I did for the first year. Now, mind you, I was broke. So I was cutting hair, we was painting houses and all that just to be able to eat some hot and ready pizzas and some beanies and weenies. This is what me and these kids was doing. So then after that,
doing all this, how old are you?
I was 20 at that time. I was 20 years old.
But how old are you now?
I'm 22.
Wait. Okay, so you're 22 years old.
And
you created this school for young boys.
Yes.
Okay, because most 22-year-olds are out here turning up, like turn. Okay. So you're like an old soul.
Well, I always say I'm just a regular kid who had men to raise me. I had a tribe of men, to help raise me, my uncles, my granddad, my former stepfather, my current stepfather, and I still have a council of elders that I consult with right now. So I always say if all boys had that type of tribe to help raise them, even my grandmother and mother, like all of them helped raise me to who I am. And I still take counsel from them to this day, because I don't consider myself a real adult until I turn 25. That's when the decision-making part of your brain is finished developing. So I still consult with them. And this is why, I think maybe some of the ways that I do, and plus reading books and things like that, and plus understanding that I have a purpose as well. And, I have a calling. So I have things that I have to do and ways I have to operate. Now, when I turn 35, 36, then I'll go have some fun. I don't work all now. I'll work now and play later. So I'll go smoke a cigar too and eat some chicken wings with my shirt off at that time. But right now we're gonna work for right now. So that's what I believe in.
I'm just speechless. Like, you're 22 years old and you've created this school for young boys, and now you're taking young men from the juvenile court system into your home. That is commendable, because you just don't hear about those type of stories. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, just because there's so many things tonight I wanted to unpack in this conversation. So with dealing with young boys that you described have different upbringings, and they're now in your home or in your school, from a mental health standpoint, do you really see the impact firsthand? I'm sure you do, as far as their mental health and self-esteem when they come to you. Like, what state are they in, and even what that means for the self-esteem for young boys, because there's so many platforms out here, King, where women have a chance to express how they feel, their feelings. Even in our communities, we can go to the kitchen table, we can go to the beauty salon, we can go to the nail shop. We have so many places where women can express how they feel. But when the boys come to you, one, where are they? And then two, where are they once they get to you as far as the transition? And then what is the end goal, or what is the end result after they've been through your program?
That's such a loaded question. So a lot of the boys go through many different things. I've dealt with children that have been molested by women. I've dealt with boys that have been molested by men. Dealt with children whose parents have starved them. I've dealt with children whose parents leave them, and they leave their sons to take care of their other kids, etc. They'll abandon them. I mean, these kids got stories. They have a lot of stories, and mentally, a lot of boys have to hold it together per se, because they may be the oldest boy and they got to take care of the kids, their brothers and sisters, or they have to just man up, because they have to, ain't nobody else helping them. So when they get a chance to be vulnerable, or I have finally break that barrier and have a conversation with them, it's tough. It's really tough. It affects me mentally. This is why our school will be, they'll have mandatory counseling that they'll be doing, all of them. At least once a month they'll be doing counseling. And if those, some of those boys need more, then they'll get more counseling. But everybody will be doing some type of counseling at our school, because of so many issues that they go through. But a lot of them come, trying to be hard and all that stuff like that. But I'm 22 years old. A lot of the tricks they try to play on me, I just graduated not too long ago, so you can't play too many tricks on me. But I'm able to relate to them, and they're able to open up to me. Secondly, they see me being successful, a young black man just like them, and I'm their possible. So once they're able to see that possible, it opens their minds, and their self-esteem grows, because they see somebody that look just like them from the same city, that came from, not being rich or nothing like that, doing something, and helping build the community. So my end goal for them, I know I have a 0.01% recidivism rate, meaning I've only had one child from my program go back to jail out of all the children that have come to me from juvenile courts. And right now, I'm actually still working with the kids that did go back.
Let's call that only one.
Mhm. Yep, only
But
one,
isn't but
and he
isn't the
just
point
went to
of the
jail.
but
Say it
isn't
again.
the point of the correction system is to correct or rehabilitate, which we know that does they usually get worse. So your program, you've only had one.
Yep, we're the only standing rehabilitative program for juvenile offenders in Southwest Georgia.
What's different?
They don't. There are none. We're the only one. So these kids are going to juvenile. I mean, they're going to the RYDC, and they just there. They don't have no type of intervention for them. They don't have any type of nothing for them. They just go into RYDC and they try to threaten them with these sentences and all that. Them kids don't care about that, man. These kids need to see something different. They need to go see the world. They need to go learn how to do these different skill trades. They need to show them, what are some different outlets you can go down. So I mean, it's been crazy just seeing some of these kids develop. I mean, I've taken these kids to the White House when we got invited. We've flown all across the country. Some of these kids ain't never been outside the city of Albany unless they were with me. So opening their minds up is extremely important, and just having them see that the world is big. And some of these kids, I mean, when I say they ain't been nowhere, man, I mean they ain't even been to the beach to see the ocean is big, or went and seen a skyscraper in Atlanta. Like, in Atlanta's only like 2 hours away from us. So for me to be able to give them those experiences, it means everything. But these kids, man, they don't have no type of rehabilitative programs for them at all. So me trying to develop these kids and come up with new ideas for them all the time, and how can I keep them away from jail. And even the one kid that did go back to jail, he just recently went back, like literally just today. That statistic is new. It was at 0, but today he went back to jail because he took his uncle's gun or something. But I hate when they leave my house, because he had just left my home. He's probably one of the best kids I ever had. But it's like when they go back to those environments, then that's when they mess up. And this is why our school is going to be boarding, because I have to remove them from their environments in order to be able to really fix them. Because as long as they're in these environments where they're around these people and able to hang out with certain people, etc., their mom ain't helping them. A lot of them, their moms are at work. A lot of them are in gang infested neighborhoods, etc. I can't help them unless they're actually actively living there, and I can develop habits with them. Have them wake up at a certain time of the day. Have them doing this at a certain time of the day. Have them doing this and that and this and that. All these different
Because
habits.
you were prior military, right? You were in the Marines, so you kind of get them on that schedule,
Yes.
right?
Yep, absolutely. Yep. So I try to make sure we have all types of habits for them that they don't break, and all these manly habits I try to develop in them, so that way they're become a great human being as they get older.
Okay. So one of the things, King, I did want to ask you as far as seeing the shift in their emotional state, because a lot of boys come in, a lot of boys don't want to talk. They don't want to express what's really going on, how they feel. So what do you have in place? I know you say you have the therapy, but outside of the therapy setting, to get them to even learn how to trust, because a lot of times, particularly with boys, when they do open up, even as you probably experienced growing into manhood, when a man opens up for the first time and then those secrets or those things get weaponized, then they shut down and they don't talk to anybody. So then they carry this throughout life. And now you have a grown man that may be married or in a relationship or whatever, and he doesn't talk. And then when you ask him, hey, what's wrong with you? Nothing. So how do you kind of, I want to say, get them on the path to learning how to open up and communicate?
Yeah, so well, first it starts off with getting them to be able to trust me. Of course, I have to break that barrier with all of them. As soon as they come into the program, we got to break that barrier with them. So I try to do a lot of team building exercises, etc. But also we have the conflict corner, and today we actually just started recording the conflict corner, because I would like for people to literally see these conversations that these boys have, because they have a lot on their minds, etc. But we have the conflict corner, and every week they come to the conflict corner in our sanctuary, because we bought a school that has a church attached to it. So in the sanctuary, we go and have the conflict corner, and I just let them talk about whatever they want to talk about: girls, school, teachers, whatever. And they just all talk about it. And if somebody agrees with it, they'll just butt in, and it just becomes a big conversation. So they're able to have a lot of conversations amongst each other and not be scared, not be judged. It's just us. For them to know that they can trust me, and even telling me they having sex or whatever like that. That's the type of
You just keep it
bond.
100, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the type of bond we have to have, with
Yeah.
them, because if I can prevent teen pregnancy, etc., and if I could, prevent them from being abused at home, etc. Like, I found out so many things that's happening at these kids' homes, etc. Is mind blowing. But I have to, be strong for my children, and allow them to be able to continue opening up. And I always like to use my kids with autism, for example, because I work with two children that have autism. You would never
Okay.
know they had autism after coming to working in our program. When they first got there, you could clearly tell something was wrong, but now you would never be able to pick them out, unless I told you, because they've been, in the program for about 2 years, and they're excellent children. They're doing, some great things, and it's just awesome to see them develop. But you have to foster that environment for them, and I'm learning as I go. So 5 years from now, I believe the program is going to be like this well-oiled machine, because I've had so much trial and error. Because I started this when I was 19, so I've
Okay.
had so much trial and error. Like, and it's just past 3 years. It's been beautiful. Just learning with the boys on how to better help them, etc. So it's been a journey, and I've matured a whole lot too. So it's been great.
So in that, with your group with this school, is it all Black boys, or do you have like is it diverse demographic, or is it white, Arabic? Like, who is all a part of this school, or is it just predominantly Black with these sprinkles? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so well, originally, I used to have some white children that came. I had a Mexican kid that came. I had Asian children that come, but it's not that often. That was maybe about 2 years ago. It's just I live in a predominantly black town. We are 77% black people, so usually you're always going to see just about only black children. But it's open to everybody. It's open to all boys, not just black children. You're just probably predominantly going to see black children, but it's open to anybody to be able to come.
Okay. And then like so this is not government funded, or is this like donations, or like how is the school funded?
We have been completely funded from beginning to end from people. We don't get any government funding right now at all. Once we start receiving government funding is when I'll let people know. But that's because we may become a charter school.
Okay.
But other than that, we've been completely run off donations. And actually, when I get off of here, I actually have to upload our 2021 finance report. I did a full video showing, being transparent, obviously, showing all of our expenses for the year, letting people know, where all their donations went for the year, just showing people how they've helped us, serve these boys and keep this program free for their parents. So feeding them, buying our school bus, buying all four of our buildings and our land, etc. I just want to keep that, transparency for everybody who's donating to see where their $5 went or where their $10 went. It went to a awesome cause, and what we're doing. So.
Awesome. King, so you're working with the 11 to 17-year-olds, but after 17, what happens? I mean, are they just back out on the street, or is there like a way to kind of track them, or do they now become mentors in the school? Like, how do you keep them on that path after they finish your program?
Right. So, for starters, I've only had two children graduate from the program, because I have started working with them. Maybe they're about 15 years old. I've only had two children graduate from the program: Deshaun Bradford and Jahari Pitts. Jahari just went to Savannah State University, and I sent him off to college. And also, Deshaun, he's here in Albany. He's going to Albany Tech. They have open range to come back and be instructors. Jay was an instructor before he went to college. He became an instructor after he graduated high school. But I actually am planning on to create some type of fraternity for them to be able to join, because some of them may not go to college. Some of them may not, want to go and, be in those other fraternities or whatever they be doing. But I want to get them
I'm
into
Greek as
something.
well, so I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, again, I just want something for them, that's really gonna hold them accountable, etc. But also create a network for them. So if we want to, have something that we have as far as a network where all the alumni of our school and our program can link up and, create bridges. I want to do that for them, because a lot of them may not go to college, and a lot of them may not like the Greek stuff or whatever. And I want to do something that's going to keep them qualified every year, etc. Because every year I want them doing swim qualifications. I teach them firearms training already, so they'll be doing firearms qualifications every year. They'll be going camping every year to make sure they still know how to make a fire, make sure they still know how to skin animals, make sure they know how to change a ceiling fan, how they can work on a car, etc. This is what I believe,
so you're
holding men
teaching them
accountable
life
should be.
skills. You're teaching them life
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
This is something that I believe men should be knowing how to do just on a daily basis. So a lot of those kids, when they grow up, they're going to be, whole men. They're going to know how to grow their own food. They're going to know how to, balance a checkbook. They're going to know how to, look at their bank account and make sure they can take care of their family, et cetera, et cetera. I want them to be held accountable like that. And there will be punishments for not, taking care of yourself and taking care of your family and etc. I want to create a network like that. Even if you're having trouble, you should be able to come to us and we all can work together to help each other solve each other's problems. So this is what I want to be able to create for them. So I'm in the process of doing that too after our school is open, because I want those kids to not just leave the program, but still have something that they can be a part of, that they can come to, at least once a year and keep up with each other, etc. So.
Okay. And the instructors are all male as well, correct?
Yep, all male instructors. Now we will have female teachers as
Okay.
well, but all of our instructors are male. Everybody's male.
Okay. And then what about since it is a school, are there like grades or like how does that work? Like
So,
the to kind of monitor their progress. But
yeah,
then also because it is a school, how does that translate if they're going to college for transcripts? Like are they still
yeah.
going to regular school or is this in the weekends? Like what is the setup?
Right. So right now, when we open in the fall, I'll be doing only sixth grade boys to begin. I would start working with older children, but I kind of want to grow those children from sixth grade all the way up. Now, I'm not saying that my kids that I'm already working with are going to get kicked out of the program. They're just still going to be attending regular school. Those sixth graders that I began working with, it will be doing 56 graders to begin. Those sixth graders I start working with, they will be able to go to college. We'll be accredited school or whatever like that. So whenever they graduate from our school, they'll be able to go, off to college or whatever like that. But I want our school name to hold some weight. So I'll start off with 56th grade boys, and then I'll grow them through the school. So the first year we're going to have sixth grade. The next year we'll have seventh and sixth. The next year we'll have eighth, seventh, and sixth. And next year we'll have ninth, seventh, sixth, and eighth, like that. Because I want to kind of grow those kids all the way through the 12th grade at our school. So we'll start there. And the only reason I'm starting small is just to get our ducks in a row. I don't want to start off with no 400 kids or whatever, and then all our ducks ain't in a row yet. So I want to make sure to see how the program is run, make sure everything's run fluidly. If does the curriculum work for these kids, or how are they developing, etc. So if I can start off with a small group first, then expand, then that's what I'm going to do. So we're starting off with 50 children in the sixth grade to begin.
Okay, and then how are you vetting your instructors or your educators for the program? Like, is there a process for the educators or teachers to come in? Are you recruiting from colleges and universities? Are you getting retired teachers? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so the teachers that we'll be getting, obviously through the Charter School Association, we'll be able to vet them ourselves, but of course they'll send us teachers that are able to teach. All of my instructors will be 25 and under, because obviously it's a little easier for me personally, and for the boys to be able to relate, to a younger instructor versus an older 40, 50-year-old guy trying to tell them what to do. But also for me, as the leader of the school, it's a little tough, trying to have a younger superior. It just is. I would hate to. I can't really explain how it is to have a 45-year-old guy that got to listen to me, or whatever like that. It just don't work out. Plus, just a certain respect I may have for them, et cetera, that I'm not able to tell them certain things because of, how I feel about their age, et cetera. So most of all of our instructors are going to be 25 and under. And of course, they'll grow as I grow, as being an instructor in the program. But as far as educators, educators will be a range of women, men, whatever age. Those are teachers, but instructors are there to be the men around those boys all the time. And eventually we'll expand to the instructors, having their own sets of boys that they're working with. They'll have their own classes that they'll be working with, etc. So to begin, I'll be training all of my instructors to start off. That 50 boys will be my first class, obviously. So I'll be working with those 50 boys, and I'll be training my instructors on how to instruct. So it'll be almost like I'm the lead instructor, and it'll be the other instructors. And then, of course, as they get their training, then they'll get their own class, and they'll be responsible for training other instructors to come up, etc. So it'll have to almost be like a chain reaction. I just got to start it off and then make it happen after that. And of course, as the school grows, I'm growing and monitoring my other instructors, monitoring the teachers, seeing what we can do better, always analyzing ourselves, analyzing our curriculum. All of that should be ever evolving. I don't understand how the school systems keep the same crap every year for 20 years, and never develop. I believe all that stuff needs to be ever evolving. The way we're teaching, the curriculum needs to be ever evolving, et cetera, et cetera. All that needs to continue growing as the students grow, because obviously if it's not working anymore, which is why we have a 19% proficiency rate for seniors graduating high school in math, something needs to change. It needs to be a complete overhaul. And that goes because you have the same crap happening for the past 30, 40 years. So all that has to be ever evolving.
Yes. And even with that, I know you mentioned a lot of blue collar education being implemented into the school. But what about like STEM, like your science, tech, engineering, arts, math? Will those be included in your program? Or is it just more going to be more on the blue collar side? Because some kids may not be good with the screwdriver, but they're a whiz at coding, or like, is that what does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the kids, I have all different kind of kids. I got my little nerdy kids, I got my little jock kids, I got kids who like playing video games, I got kids who like playing basketball, I got kids who like working on cars. So I try to open up things for all of the children to be able to do. I want to be able to guide them in whatever way they want to go. So for my kids who like playing on computers and coding and stuff, they just built a computer like 2 months ago. They built their own gaming computer from scratch. They told me all the parts to buy. I had somebody sponsor it for us, and we bought all the parts, and they built that computer in like an hour. Like, it was crazy. They built the computer, they got it on the desktop, and they were able to play video games on it and stuff like that. But it was awesome to see. I got a guy coming to teach them a coding class. But that'll be for my kids, who are into that stuff. But then when I have somebody come teach the kids welding, of course, my little computer geek kids ain't into that, So absolutely, I want to open up different avenues for them to go down. So at our school, everybody will be mandatory in learning the basics of these life skills, such as changing a basic ceiling fan, basic oil change, basic brake repair, etc. Everybody will do that. No questions asked. All of them will learn how to weld. All of them will do firearms training, basic stuff. However, for those children who want to get into tech, those kids who want to get into coding, those kids who want to do the robotics or whatever like that, we'll have those pathways for them to go down. Even for those kids who may want to be a doctor, etc. I got surgeons that assist our program. Two of our students who want to be doctors, they'll be actually going to the operating room with him in Atlanta to watch him do surgery. So all of these kids, I try to again give them different outlets for them to be able to go.
Fields that they're interested in.
Exactly. And that's what I want to provide at our school. So whatever thing that they're interested in, I want to make sure I have a route for them to be able to go down. So that way I can make sure they're as successful as possible, instead of just like regular school. Everybody got to learn the same thing all year, and then we put y'all out, and then y'all got to go figure it out. No, if you telling me in high school you want to be a doctor, I'm gonna go ahead and start sending you down that pathway. If you tell me you want to work on cars, I'm gonna send you down that pathway. If you telling me you want to do coding and you want to work on computers and be in IT, we're gonna send you down that pathway. So that's what I want to do. And you want to go to college and get you a 4-year degree, we're gonna send you down that pathway. I just developed the relationship with Yale. So the kids will be going to tour Yale University in April. So once they go tour Yale, we're going to develop a relationship with them, and they're going to also allow some of the students, depending on their grades, etc., to be able to come to the Yale, faster than kids from a regular school, because they love what I'm doing and the relationships that I'm building with them. So I've already built a partnership with them, and that's a Ivy League university. So I want to make sure I'm building partnerships as much as I can. So I'm always working on the background, trying to make sure I'm making them as successful as possible. So that's what I want to try and do. So I try to have a route for all of them to be able to go down, no matter what it is that they want to do.
That's a lot. And just for you to be so young, and as a young black male out here, that's a lot of pressure. So in that, I want to kind of pivot a little bit as far as how do you maintain your own mental health and just day-to-day stressors with dealing with school and politics and blogs and posts and smear campaigns. Like, what do you do to manage that on a daily basis, or do you have an outlet?
I like to play video games. Playing my video game, most people don't think I play video games, but I really don't have time, honestly. But when I do play my video game, it's my time to think, put ideas together, and kind of just focus on something other than work. Like, I'm focusing on the video game at the moment. So it's something other than work. So I do play video games. When I'm driving all the time. That's my time to decompress. I listen to music. I don't talk to nobody. I don't do work. I just drive. I'm always driving from Atlanta to Albany, so that's about a 2.5 hour to drive. I make that drive all the time. So I'm constantly sitting there thinking. But I'm trying to learn new ways to try and manage. I'm actually about to give up my social media to one of my social media managers. I'm about to get off of all social media personally. So you'll see my pages and stuff still up, but it won't be me. I'm about to get that up soon, just to be able to focus. Because like you said, the smear campaigns and people saying this and that and making up stuff and all that, it get a little annoying.
It's a lot,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It gets
just even
annoying.
for myself, like last month, I took a break for like almost 2.5, 3 weeks just because trying to post every day and respond, and then the stress of like, did people like it? It's just, and it was just like, you know what, time out.
Yep.
I don't want to think about it. It's not that it's necessarily bad, but it can create an anxiety. Some people tend to compare themselves to other people on social media because you feel like you
Yep.
should be here, and it's just so I totally get it. And the time I was away, I slept really well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the first thing you want to do is grab your phone. But I wasn't
Yep.
thinking about my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I would put my
Yep.
phone in my room and go, throughout about my day. I may not check it if I do, fine. If not, but it was great
Mm-hmm.
to not have that notification every time.
Right.
It was a freedom. And so
Yep.
now, since then, I found myself gravitating back to those old habits. And it's like, no, your phone doesn't run you. It's
Right.
a device. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
no. And so I totally get it. And I commend you for doing that, because in that will free up your time and your mind to think of other things for the kids, for the school, or other
Yep.
ways to connect in the community. So I think that's dope. But just as a leader, I think it's important throughout everything you're doing. I love mental health, particularly within our community, because growing up, mental health has been taboo in the Black community. That's
Yes.
one of the things I talk about a lot. I'm a PK, so growing up in church, it
Me
was
too.
not discussed.
Yeah, me too. I played the drums my entire life. My grandmother, the apostle, and my mom was a pastor. Granddad was a pastor. So living that lifestyle, man. And
Third
always playing the
generation.
drums. Yeah,
So
I
it's
feel. Yeah,
singing in the
it's
choir,
tough. Hmm.
Sunday schools. I taught VBS before, so been there, done that. But it's
Yep.
just like, and I
Yep.
had the
So
5-year-olds. I had the 5-year-olds. My class was lit. They love me. So, but yeah, people are like, you taught vacation Bible school? Yes, Camille taught vacation Bible school. This is not my
yeah.
interview. This is yours. So going back to you, King. Again, the mental health and leadership, I think is really important. I think it's poignant that we continue to bring it out and discuss it, particularly for our men. And this, what you do and having so much on you, to find other ways. I mean, driving is cool, but just explore other ways to do that, because you think kids don't notice things. So, like, even though you can smile, they can tell like something's off. Kids
Yep.
are very observant. They notice
Hmm.
everything. Energy. As I say, energy doesn't lie. So I commend you for everything that you do, but just also just encourage you just to continue that journey as far as other outlets outside of the driving and the video games. But again, what you're doing is dope, period.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem. So as we can begin to wrap up, there's so much here to unpack. I definitely want to bring you back as a guest, just as you continue your journey. And I do want to hear, once the partnership with DL kicks off, to hear more about that program. I think it's very important.
Oh yeah.
I think it goes beyond just being at the table or having representation, because a lot of people and a lot of organizations do that to hit that check in the box so they can get a check in the mail. And it's
Hmm.
about moving the needle, because yes, you
Yep.
can have a face at the table, but who's on the board, who's running the program. And so
Yep.
we also have to teach ownership, and
Hmm.
having our own spaces for us. It's good that, yes, we do need to be in those spaces. I do believe diversity and inclusion is important, but I also
Hmm.
feel like we still need to have our things as well, just so we can have people in places of ownership and be able to call the shots too. So
Right. Absolutely. I definitely agree.
yeah. So for those that would like to connect with you on social media or even donate to your program, where can people do that?
Absolutely. You can go to the extraboys.org to find out all about me, the program, how to volunteer, how to donate, etc. All right there at the extraboys.org. So you can go there and see everything there is you need to see about the program, all of our videos, photos of things that we've done. I mean, everything's there. Everything's there on that website. Even our social media handles. You can follow me at New Emerging King, but it's all on the website. All that's there. And if you want to support us, I definitely appreciate it. And even always offer for people who know how to do certain things. If you guys want to come teach the boys a class on something, please shoot us an email because we're always, willing to have somebody come and teach the boys something new. So that's something I do love for people to come and do all the time. And that's teach the boys how to do something that I don't know how to do to open their minds up even more. So I definitely appreciate that.
Well, I'm humble and honored that you took time out of your busy schedule to sit down and talk to me. I do look forward to connecting with you in the future for more interviews and just to learn more about what you're doing and just to keep up with the program. I think it's important that people know what you're doing and what the school is doing. So whatever I can do to assist and share my space to help get the word out, my platform is yours. And I say that openly.
Well, I appreciate you.
Thank you. So, everybody, this is your girl, Camille Essick. I'm the host of the Speaker Podcast, the podcast where innovators and creators connect. My guest tonight is King Randall there in Albany, Georgia, doing dope things. Make sure you follow him, and I hope to see you guys on the other side. Be blessed. Good night. Bye-bye.